Good afternoon and Happy New Year. We were just talking before I started recording the call. I think everybody's out there very overwhelmed and working this week. I appreciate, so far there's 7 of us on the line. So welcome back, everybody. My partner Chad and I are both on. And I just want to start off by saying thank you to you guys that someone was just asking how many clients we have. I think we have around 50 now. So you guys, by this time next year, I firmly believe it's going to be at least 10 times that many. So I want to thank the beginners, the people that were willing to take a chance, and we're really committed to you guys getting just as much value out of this year as we can. I mean, as we can possibly squeeze out of it, and we're going to be adding new lead sources. We're going to be expanding what we offer you, and we're never going to try to quit improving this, and we want to keep improving your guys' results. I interrupted. One of the agents on the call had asked about auto dialers and who was using what, and if somebody doesn't have an auto dialer, I highly recommend Vulcan 7. Enron was just telling us about it. It came along after I was done being an agent, but I tested it a couple times, and it's pretty amazing. What it does, David, is you call into a number, you go online, you say prospect, and it starts dialing for you. It shows you the person you're dialing, the background. I think it gives you a little info on their property, doesn't it, Emron?
Yeah, it does, including
a little info on the property.
Photo.
Yeah, if a answering machine comes on, it automatically moves on to the next call and leaves a pre-recorded message that you recorded. While you're talking on the line, you can categorize, call back at a certain date, delete, you can rate the lead as warm, cold, medium. It's just a really efficient way to keep track of your leads and prospect without. Back in the old days when I used to do it, I had 2 phones side by side and a double headset and 2 stacks of papers. that was before the internet. So take advantage of technology, guys. We were just talking about that. Chad, anything you want to any news that you want to share with the group to get started or not?
I think you did a good job.
All right, good. Towards the end of the year, we mentioned we are on autopilot on mailings. If that link's not on the back end of our site, it should be by week's end. David, I think you're getting ready to do your first mailing, correct?
Yes.
And you said
you are.
I'm getting ready to do my first mailing. I like it. David ordered in South Carolina. He ordered 2 counties, 348 leads. David.
Yes. No,
and David
390 something.
380, 390. Yeah. And David is just telling us mail out 1,000 letters. Go ahead and mail out 1 letter now, and then 2 more letters over the next 90 days, and do it for me because I'm a busy guy and I could move on to something else. And David, you actually brought an assistant on to make these calls for you, correct?
Yeah, I brought on somebody to set up the appointments for me to go out and list the property. Yes.
Nice. Good for you.
David, where is Betty, Gales, and Charleston? Where are you?
Columbia.
Good.
Are you guys competition,
Yeah.
Betty?
No.
Yeah,
Betty is a. What's that?
She's an hour and a half from me.
David, it's a good thing she's far away from you because you'd be in trouble.
Really?
Oh yeah, she's a dynamo. I've known Betty for how many years have we known each other, Betty?
20? I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I hate to admit it. Betty and I were involved in the Mike Ferry coaching together. And Betty, you get on the phone. How many contacts do you make a day?
Well, I get on at 8, from 8 to 10, and so I don't count like I used to count. I just call for 2 hours.
Okay. Many people as you can talk to in 2 hours, every day, 5 days a week, right?
Yeah, and then I own an office now, so I also then I spend the next hour recruiting for agents.
Good for you.
Who are you with, Betty?
Remax.
Okay.
And Betty, I've been telling people this, but I'm assuming you're calling FSBOs, expireds. I know you use the Vulcan system. I'm assuming you're probably calling past clients and sphere of influence.
Correct.
How often do you run across a seller that nobody else is talking to?
None, ever.
Thank you. That was
in fact,
that was the correct
we have 4 people that use Vulcan in my office, and
yeah.
I can hear them calling the same people in the next room.
I used to, especially with FSBOs, I'd start calling at 7 a.m., and at 7 a.m. I'd hear, you're the third agent that called me already. I said, geez, I got to get up earlier. Betty, have you started making the probate calls yet?
Yeah, in fact, I've really had a lot of success with it. I've gotten probably 5 or 6 that I'm working on.
Excellent.
How long have you been on the program, Betty?
Just the first month.
Okay.
So I love it because there's no competition.
Yeah, have you had anybody
Well,
yet?
that's what that attracted me as well.
Yeah, it's low-hanging fruit, guys. It really is. And Betty,
Jim,
if you
can
had,
I share with,
please go ahead.
yeah, this is Imran. Okay, I came across with someone from Houston, Texas. She said she has received 8 calls, and she's an accountant, and she's meeting me actually once she's coming to New York in a month or so. She said she received 8 phone calls. So I don't know whether they're investors, how they get this leads, because I don't know anybody else in New York is subscribing to that.
Imran, you're in Brooklyn, New York, right?
Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. I think everybody from the Bronx and Queens is more aggressive, apparently.
What's your response rate?
Say it again.
She got
response rate?
8 calls. What's the response rate?
For me, you talking to me? It's I had 100, I think, and about 30 leads, and some of them don't have phone numbers. But we sent out 1 mailing, and we got 1 call from that, and then I've got people that are not through probate, and I don't understand really how the probate works. That's our next goal, to find that out. And then I have people that have asked questions, so I need to be more of an expert.
Betty, let me, if I may, let me take like 2 or 3 minutes, because this is something I wanted to talk about anyway. Little educational for the people that don't know the process, and some of the not complaints, but some of the comments I've been hearing I wanted to address anyway. The probate is when typically we've tracked it. It's somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks after the person dies. One of the family members makes the decision to go ahead and settle the estate. And the fact that you have the lead, that means the probate was recently filed. The executor, the oldest child, the person who the will said is in charge, contacted an attorney, and the attorney filed the probate. One of the beautiful things about these leads, a vast majority of sellers have the misconception that they can't do anything to market, sell, list, or do anything with the property until the probate's completed. They can't sell it. Usually they can't sell it till the property's completed. There's exceptions to that. Sometimes you can put the money in escrow depending on what the will said. But what we always tell the agents to tell the people is, you can list it today. Let's take advantage of that 3-4 months that it's going to take to complete the probate process to market the property. And there's a good chance, if I'm Betty Gales or Dave Bryant, there's a good chance that by the time the legal work is done, we'll have a buyer ready to close. We can really hit the ground running. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Is it the same length of time everywhere?
No, and it's not even the same within certain markets. It really depends on how complicated the probate is.
Right.
Chad,
that's kind of the median number of days, Betty. What we found, in my market here in Roanoke, and I'd say yours is probably the same, we find that people in the South take longer. I think it's a more sentimental culture.
Yeah.
So there are people on my list that the death was as long as 2 years ago, and they've just now kind of gotten through the grieving and said, okay, we got to settle out bad stuff. And some will be like that, and those are usually owned free and clear. Dad had no credit cards, there was no outstanding debt, and there's really no real driving motivator to get them through it. But there's going to be a large portion of them. Some of them are like literally the next business day after death. A lot of those that happen really quickly are out-of-town buyers who have, careers and homes and kids and, a big family of their own. And they didn't necessarily, I would say 9 times out of 10, the executor does not want to be the executor. They don't want that responsibility. And that's kind of why we do this and coach, build yourself a team of vendors around you, your attorneys, your clean out crews, but they don't want to be in that position. But there's debt there that's motivating the decision to file probate. So mom and dad had a reverse mortgage or a mortgage. Mom and dad have back taxes. They have a car loan and $50,000 in credit card debt. And, it's 65 and older. Over 54% of those people are on some sort of government assistance and nationwide. So a lot of those people have a lot of consumer debt, credit card debt, and they have to sell the house to clear that debt to settle the estate. And that's part of what probate is. It's not just about the assets. Probate's also about the debt. And typically the house is the largest asset that will help the family get that debt covered. So that's where the strong motivation comes in on most of the list. And then, the others are going to be free and clear, and they might take their time. But overall, what I've tracked and just running a median calculation, about 68 days from the date of the death is when they file probate.
Yeah.
And a little more education, guys. Some of you, I might be preaching to the choir that have been doing this for a while. To date, I think we have about 50 clients. I think we've had 6 people cancel. 100% of the people that have canceled have ordered the leads, and then a month or two later they've done absolutely nothing with them, and then they've canceled. And I had an extreme example. I hope she's not on the call, but I won't mention her name. But we had a lady order the leads before the holidays, came back, looked at the leads, called one, and the guy who answered said, "Yeah, there's a probate, but there's no real estate involved." And she called me and said, "Your leads are crap. I'm looking here, all the addresses, they're not even in my market." No, the people they don't live in your market. They're scattered all over the country. So you're going to see that. And the other thing I wanted to share with you, you are going to run into some, not many, but you are going to run into some where there's no real estate involved. The national statistics are that about 2/3, 66.66% of all adult Americans own real estate. It's been our experience, though, that the ones that file probate, a vast majority of them, there's real estate involved, or they probably would not have bothered to file the probate. Because if mom and dad just have a bank account and a car title, they transfer over the car title and kids go down and show the death certificate, there's no reason to file probate. My experience in Florida here, better than 90% of them, I'd say 95%, have some real estate. Chad, and I know, Enron, you said your number was lower in New York. You said it's
I've gotten... I sort out the system does that in one day. I would say 50 to 60%, 40 to 45% has no real estate.
Yeah, Emron motivated me to find out in my market. We had just been mailing everybody, and we went through and did it the manual process.
What did your numbers come out, Chad?
Amazingly, it was right at 66%. It was higher in Roanoke County, and it was lower in Roanoke City, but the average of the two was 66.2% or something like that.
Okay.
And now, what is the 66% represent? What is that?
That means 6 out of 10 people owned real estate at the time of death.
Okay. All right. Now, Enron, you said you had 8 calls. What was your response rate based on 8 calls? How many did you send out? Letters?
I think he meant the client he spoke to had been called by 700 people.
Okay, gotcha. That's on the probate list? Probate list?
Last 2 months, I made phone calls to almost over 250 people. I was able to reach about 30 to 40, I believe, and 7 people so far showed interest. They definitely want to sell within the next 3 to 6 months. One I'm meeting actually on Tuesday. He's meeting me to show that.
Great.
Hey, let's do the fun part. Emron, let's figure out the GCI on 7 deals. What would that be?
It's the first 2-3 months, and you got to work hard on that call. You got to call multiple times.
What would your Chad?
What's your average ticket on the sale?
What would your commission?
Yeah, what's your
be
average
7
ticket
deals?
on the sale?
Average $600.
Wow.
Good. Okay.
So about $120,000, something like that. If you get 7 deals, that's pretty good return on it.
Yeah, more than close to 100, 120.
One other thing I wanted to mention, just to follow up on it, if you happen to run into somebody that doesn't have real estate, you call their probate attorney and say, hey, I noticed that I was talking to the seller. They said you're a great probate attorney. I noticed that, they said they don't have any real estate, but I noticed you do a lot of probate. What agent are you using? Prospect a probate attorney if there's no, because that could be a good long-term source of business for you. There's some value you can get out of every lead.
Man, write that down. What a gold nugget. That's good, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, it's there. Now you've got a warm introduction. Bob Johnson, attorney. Can I tell him who's calling? No, it's Chad Corbett. His client, Mr. Johnson, asked me to call. Oh, he did? Okay, he's going to pick up the call. Hey, Bob Johnson, your client, this is Chad Corbett, your client, I was talking to him, mentioned there's no real estate involved, but he said you were a very successful probate attorney, and I should call you to see if maybe you have any other deals for me. It'll get you past the gatekeeper. It'll get you into the attorney's office and get them talking. And we've had a couple agents that have just killed it. I don't think any of them are on the call today, but we've had 2 or 3 that have done extremely well prospecting the probate attorneys.
Jim, have they put together their scripts and dialogues and method for that?
For the probate attorneys,
yeah.
Chad, I think you asked them, but I don't think we have any. We don't have anything gathered yet, do we?
Not yet.
Okay. What would you, Chad? What would you say if you were calling put you on the spot? What would you say if you were calling the probate attorney?
Honestly, and for those of you that haven't heard me say this before, I'm in Roanoke, Virginia, and I don't have attorney information, and I'm so jealous. Right. All you guys do.
You're a Commonwealth. You don't have attorneys.
Right. Yeah, well,
oh, wow.
If I did have probate attorneys, I would identify the top 5 or the top 10, and I would go. I would put something in writing. I mean, I have a simple web page that just kind of outlines what we do and why we do it for this niche. I would put that into just a 2-sided brochure of some sort that looked professional. I would drop by his office and do what I think is it Bo that did this in Florida? That said, who are you? The guy that was using his ROTARY member for the realtor. That
was you, right, Bo?
Yeah, sure. Mm-hmm. So I would do what Bo did. I would walk right into the office and I would say, my name's Bo. I've got a team built specifically for probate, and I can provide a lot of value to your office. Who are you using right now? Well, how about you give me a chance, and I would win the business. Unfortunately, I don't have that option.
Would you like an interesting iteration on that?
Yes.
This is Bo. Hopefully I'm not going down a pig trail for you. Well, that young attorney told me who he's using, who's a long-time, well-respected agent in Osceola County. Well, both of these fellows belong to the Rotary. So I called the attorney a 3 weeks ago. I said, I'd like to give a speech at the Rotary Club. Do y'all want to speak? He said, sure. I said, who is your president? Well, it's Billy Shepard, who's the realtor. So I called Billy. He says, oh, yeah, man, we're always looking for speakers. So this morning I was with them both giving a speech. And, we're all going to cooperate. It's going to be, it's okay. It's all right.
There's enough
and
business for both of you.
Now I'm getting deals, and I may get the throw off from Billy, who's known him for years, but, it's
good
all
for
right.
you, Bo. That's great. The other gentleman, I can't remember who it was. Was it Paul Hayhurst that was doing attorneys also? He had a I think it was. Paul, you're not on the call, are you? No, I don't think he is. It's only a little deceitful. He was calling the executor and saying your attorney told me to call. Then he was calling the attorney and saying your seller told me to call. So he was making it a warm referral by mentioning the other party. And I'm not suggesting you lie, but I thought that was kind of clever.
Well, and the other way to frame that is, I'm working with attorney or I'm working with executor.
Yeah, exactly. Frame it a little bit differently. You're telling the truth. I like that. Group participation, guys. Thank you. We try to keep these calls at 30 minutes. We got like 6 or 7, 8 minutes left. Any questions from the group? Any places you're getting stuck? Anything we can help you with?
What was the website that I know we're probably none of us are in competition, are we?
No, I don't think
I
we
don't
have any.
care. I'm of abundance mindset. You can go to sell.
Yeah.
It's sellandestateHome.com. So sellandestateHome.com.
Okay.
That's your website, right, Chad?
It's just one page that I use as a PS line on you'll see on the letter templates that we provide. That's down there in the PS lines. And I think it's PS if you're not ready to talk to a live person yet. Learn more at sellandestateHome.com. And I don't really get leads from it. People go there and people read it. And it's it's just an extra piece of it's just an extra layer of marketing.
Thank you. Yeah. Just adds credibility.
What is that website again, please?
It's Sell an Estate Home.
Sell an Estate Home?
And.
And
Yes.
like.
And.
This is a stupid question, but like when you go through probate, you have an attorney that you go through. And I just had somebody call me, and they were the relative died without a will, and she wanted to know if I could help her go through the probate. And this was just yesterday, so I hadn't done any research on it. But
Wow.
Does the same attorney handle it through the whole process? Is that the way it works?
Yes.
Well, then that's called dying intestate. So there's state law will lay out exactly how it's to be handled in your state. So when she can file the probate with the county, with the probate clerk, and they'll walk her through, and the state determines how assets are distributed if there is no will. And the probate clerk can do that. An attorney can double check the work and better serve them. But still, the first place to start is with the probate clerk. You don't ever tell someone that you can handle it for them, because you're not an attorney. Just say,
better yet, Betty,
you.
I would check your leads, see who the players are for attorneys.
Yeah.
And call and say, I got a referral for you. Do you have any for me?
Right.
Yeah.
Does it cost to go through probate?
Yeah. It runs in Florida anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000. And Rod, do you know how much it's running in New York? Emron, you still there? I guess we lost him. We got about 15 people on the call now. Chad, is that what we're finding? 2,500 to 5,000 typically?
I've heard some people quote 1,500 as like a flat fee.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of experience with that because we don't do that here. So.
Right. It's not expensive. It's not prohibitively expensive. And as a matter of fact, in my market, I've got an attorney. And here's a good one, too. When you're talking to your probate attorneys, I've got a guy who will just do it. He'll wait till the deal closes to get paid if I send him the deal. The only thing he wants is court costs, which is peanuts.
That's a great idea because some of them just can't afford it.
Yeah, and when you're talking to your probate attorneys, you might just say, now, I do run into people in this situation. If you got to charge them a little bit of a premium, like a finance fee or something, fine, but can you wait? No, I don't think any of them will advance the fees, but the fees in Florida are $200 or $300, clerk costs, recording fees, etc. And, anybody can afford that. And you're really doing that seller. If it is a situation where there's a lot of debt and the people are the heirs are, are not, affluent, can't afford it, that's a great service you can offer by finding an attorney that's willing to do that. And it's another good excuse to call those attorneys to just say, hey, from time to time I run into people that, can only, limited funds. Would you, if I gave you, a steady supply of probate referrals, is that something you would consider doing? Anything like that, if you can have a reason to call the attorney besides just asking, if you have a reason to call them, and then the conversation leads into, hey, by the way, while we're on the phone, I noticed you do a lot of them, offer value, trade them something of value for what you're asking for. It's always a more effective way to ask for business. We got
Thanks,
3 minutes, guys. Who has a golden question that they're just dying to ask? No?
I would like to know who, if anyone on the call, has set a probate listing goal for themselves for 2015.
I have. It's Wendy.
Is that Wendy?
Yep.
What's your goal, Wendy?
My goal is 3 a month.
Me too.
So 36.
That's my goal for the year. So if you guys haven't, I encourage everyone to do that. I mean, you put a number.
Too. This is Bo.
How many do you
have,
get, Wendy?
Yeah, mine is 1 a month right now as I'm getting into it. Hope to expand it. I've really got my first valid appointment coming up Saturday. That's a real appointment. So yeah.
You know, I've been telling everyone it you know, when you deal with a small statistical sample, the results are going to vary greatly. I mean, we've got Paul Hayhurst in Florida who sent out 1 letter and got 6 listings, and then we've got other people that have made, you know, several hundred phone calls like you, Bo, and you're just starting to get your first appointment. But regardless, you know, you do this long enough and the numbers are going to start working in your favor. And I think you guys all, if you're on this call, I think you understand that. And we are here to support you every step of the way. One thing we meant to discuss that we didn't get to today, we do have the divorce data now, but I don't want to overwhelm you guys. My goal would be to have you be successful at probate and then take some of those profits and pour it into the divorce leads. But I've had a couple people already tell me, hey, I'm ready for the divorce leads. If you're ready and you think you can handle it, give me a call. What we're finding is, for the same cost as the probate leads, you're going to get twice as many divorce leads. They're going to require a different strategy, and I'm guessing the conversion rate won't be quite as high because a lot of times one of the parties stays in the house. But again, there's going to be the times when they do have to liquidate, they're probably going to be as motivated or more so than the probate leads. So, and that's something maybe we'll talk about.
Actually, and it's something to mention, Jim. Statistically, 60% of real estate is sold in divorces.
Wow.
Roughly 4% of any population will divorce within a year, and 60% of those will dispose of real estate.
Interesting. I had shared the statistic that we have twice as every county. It seems to be consistent that there's twice as many people getting divorced as dying. And somebody said, "Well, you can only die once." That's probably a valid point. I know a lot of people that have several divorces, so that kind of probably adds into the statistics for sure. Hey guys, thank you so much. We're pretty much out of time. This call will be and all our calls will be posted on our Facebook page. Are all of you members of the Facebook group now?
I'm not on Facebook.
Chad, would you tell them how to be a member of the Facebook group?
Yeah, so we have, I don't want to confuse the Facebook page, but we have a Mastermind group. It's a closed group on Facebook for subscribers only, and that's where we post the letter templates, all the recorded calls, and any other golden nuggets. You can search that by going to Facebook and searching for the group. It's All the Leads Mastermind, or you could email me or Jim, and we can give you the link to invite you. And Jim, I think next week, or if you could do a follow-up, everybody that got an email invite to the call today, maybe just send that link to them. And
okay, yeah, that's easy.
So we archive all these calls, all the direct mail pieces that are being used right now by both us and other teams. We've got Paul Hayhurst has a letter that's produced almost $250,000 in potential commissions for him in just a few months, and that's a letter that I'm testing in my market right now. It's on the site, and then kind of a brief summary of each of the 6 calls I've had in addition to this one, so you can kind of hear what other people are doing around the country. But if you have trouble finding that site, just let us know. And Betty, I wanted to make an offer too. If you want to carve out 15 or 20 minutes and kind of do a probate crash course to kind of get you started, just up to speed on the process, I'd be happy to do that. You can contact me anytime.
right, guys. Thank you to the 17 of you that showed up. We are going to make it a great year. If you need anything between calls, you know where to reach us. Otherwise, we will talk to you same time, same place next Thursday. Make it a great week, guys. Thank you.